So we can edit all the crap out then, right?
Well, we can as I introduce this show to you. This is Karen at newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for, oh my God, what in the world with Paul Seaburn?
Hi, everybody. Thanks. Hi, Karen. Happy New Year.
Yeah, it feels like a very weird New Year today.
So far. Hi, John. We got John DiNallo with us. Hi, John. Okay, we'll let everybody know. John is having connection issues. Not a personal problem. This is with his computer, but he's back. You'll see him occasionally freeze up and come back. So just bear with us. We're trying to work it out. We're trying a lot of new things here for 2021 at What in the World. We're going to try a different way of showing our photographs. I have a new light that new for highlighting my gorgeous looks. So we'll see that I don't need to mess with. The lovely Donna took care of that. And we've got a brand new year of stories, Karen and John, that are every bit as weird as last year and the year before and the year before. And
there we go. Nothing like consistency.
There you go. Thank you, John. That's right. That's what we. If there's one thing we are, it's consistent.
We are
consistently weird. So we're going to celebrate the new year right off the bat with Karen. You'll remember her from we've talked about her like 3 years. This will be the 4th year. The lady who tells the future with asparagus.
She's my favorite.
Oh, the Asparamancer. So we're going to start right off with her with some of her predictions. We've got vampire squirrels in New York. We've got a woman who married the Eiffel Tower, the one in France, not the one in Las Vegas. If you have a pet leech, we're going to talk about how to feed your pet leech if you got one for Christmas. We're going to talk about spoon bending. We're going to talk about, John, you'll like this. This is a high-tech social distancing refrigerator from North Korea. This is the kind of gadget that you would appreciate. We've got a talking tree with a special friend in England. We've got a monolith in Texas, first monolith of the year. You know, I thought we were done with the monoliths. Nope, not at all. We've got the world's oldest uneaten chocolate bars from Australia. And we've got some weird, John's got another weird sport for us that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's weird because you wouldn't expect it to be weird, and yet it is. How's that?
I like your explanation, Paul. I like your explanation.
Is that a good description, John?
Very, very good. Very good. Very good.
So we'll see how it goes. So yeah, let's get right to it with the Asparamancer. You're right, Karen. My favorite of all the psychics, of all the ones that I've talked about. So I look forward to her giving her predictions every year. John, I don't know if you remember this. Her name is Jemima Packington. Now, you know, we lost Aunt Jemima last year, so this is we still have Jemima Packington. She lives in Bath, England. Beautiful, beautiful area. And her grandmother was a psychic, and her grandmother used to tell the future by reading tea leaves. And her little granddaughter, Jemima, wanted to learn how to do it. So she tried with tea leaves. She doesn't like tea, so she wasn't getting any sign. So grandma says, well, try something else. So she tried various different things. Then she went to the refrigerator and she found some broccoli. And she's, what do I do? Grandma says, well, throw it up in the air. When it lands on the ground, see what it looks like. So she did and wasn't getting any messages. So grandma says, well, go find something else. So she finds asparagus. Now, I'm no fan of asparagus, but you know, I've seen psychics throw sticks up in the air. You know, that's a Middle East, Far Eastern thing. So it kind of makes sense. So sure enough, she throws the sticks in the air and she starts making predictions. And wouldn't you know it, they came true. And that's how she became the Asparamancer. So now, not only is she well known around the world, I mean, we've done so much to promote her on What in the World. She owes us a free prediction. But she also she gets special asparagus. She doesn't just use regular, you know, giant eagle asparagus. She gets asparagus from a special artisan market. So This is unbelievable. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of her predictions from 2020 to see how she did before we go into her predictions for 2021. So she always brags. She has a couple of brags. She says she was the first person to predict that Gordon Brown, the former British Prime Minister, would leave politics. She predicted that over a year before he did. So that's her big one. And then the other one, she predicted, this is for you, John. She predicted that England in 2019, England would win the World Cricket Cup. Now, I know you're a huge cricket fan. So
I'm a fan of all sports, Paul.
When you're not following the Browns, who are in the playoffs, we'll talk about them before we get together with John, because we do want to give a little bit of press to the Browns. So she's done okay. So she takes her asparagus. And John, do you like asparagus?
As a matter of fact, I do.
You do? Okay.
I enjoy that vegetable. Yes, I do. Yeah.
I've never been a fan. To me, it looks like bamboo, and I don't like bamboo. Believe it or not, it's been popular since ancient Egypt. Like 300 BCE, 3000 BCE. And the Romans ate it, the Greeks ate it, and this should not be a surprise based on its shape. One of the reasons they ate it was because they thought it was an aphrodisiac. So, that might convince me to try it again. I don't know. We'll see. So in 2020, Jemima predicted that Donald Trump would win his re-election resoundingly and then be impeached. So she got both of those kind of wrong and out of sequence. He was impeached, but that was before the election. And as far as we know, he did not win the election resoundingly.
Well, in his mind, he won. So we'll just leave
I know, but
leave it as is, right?
That's as close as we're getting to politics here, Karen, as you know. So she also predicted that small retailers would have a resurgence in business. Well, we know that didn't happen either. And she made no mention of the coronavirus back in 2020. So now this year, she tossed her spears, so to speak, and she reads them as they fall to the ground. So she says she sees, I'm gonna quote her. She says, very interesting. I see the letter H, 2 spears plus a crossbar, like we don't know what an H is. I don't see an M anywhere. I see no letter M, but I see an H. Okay, so if you follow celebrities like I and John do, the H is Prince Henry, and the M is me. What else could they be?
That's plausible. It's very plausible.
Plausible, that's right. Yeah, that's close enough for government work. So she predicting that Harry comes back, Meghan stays in the United States. Then she does all the the generic Renoil. There's a new word for you for 2021, Renoil. Royal family predictions. She says a bunch of the royals are going to get sick. Well, there's a lot of royals, and a lot of them are old. The Queen's in her 90s. Philip is almost 100. Not too hard to predict that. She says the Queen will make an important announcement in June to coincide with her official birthday as sovereign. Okay, well, she could predict that she's going to stay. That would be a big announcement. She could predict that she's going to go. That would be a big announcement. In other words, what's the prediction?
Maybe she's pregnant. Maybe she's pregnant.
Maybe. Wait, could that be what the missing M means?
Yeah.
No menstruation. I'm sorry. We'll cut that out later. And the other one she predicts is she refers to him as former President Trump will be disowned by the Republicans because of his handling of the U.S. domestic situation. He will not stand for another term as president. So we don't know if that's going to happen yet. So that's one that we'll watch and see if she does on that one. But she talks about running, and there's more than one kind of running. So she says that sports people, John, will and people who are obsessed with celebrities will become a thing of the past. The era of semi-professional sportsmen will reemerge. So she's saying that professional sports and people who follow celebrities and celebrities in general are going to fall by the wayside. And we're going to start to watch more maybe amateur sports in the United States because we don't really follow semi-pro that much. That's
right.
a big thing in England with all the soccer teams. What else did she say? The world population will become kinder and more tolerant as a direct result of the pandemic. Well, that's nice. I think that'd be nice if that happened. But then she says the governments will be more beholden to the will of the people. Now, I don't know, that doesn't sound like England. It certainly doesn't sound like the United States. Certainly doesn't sound like any country that comes to mind.
It doesn't seem like any country is right.
No,
Yeah.
maybe Denmark or one of those Scandinavian countries. And then she says foreign travel will become an occasional option. Well, that's just a continuation of last year. Extremes of weather will continue. Well, that's happening every year. Tropical storm, that's happening every year. What was the other one she said? I guess that's it. That's it. So, some good, some bad. She's entertaining with the asparagus. As far as the psychics go, we're going to talk about another psychic later. She makes her predictions tend to be generic. So they're vague enough that you can swing them either way.
Yeah, she's very vague, to be honest. I mean, the way I see it, I mean, it's like she doesn't stick her neck out. I mean, it's not anything to me.
I don't know. Oh, maybe she's worried that we're going to talk about her next year again.
But you know what? I went to the West Side Market and I got very special asparagus. Okay. And I did just what she did. I threw it up in the air.
Right.
And I predicted that we would have a show today.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It came true.
I predict that you served it to your husband and your son without telling them that you threw it up in the air and it was on the floor before you served it.
I know. Rich saw it. He thought it was crazy.
And he ate it anyways?
Yeah. Hey, you can't let good food go to waste.
Rich, I can believe that. I can believe that. Okay, so now we're going to get into the portion of the show where we're going to try something new. I normally hold up, I have various numbers of visual aids, and I normally hold up a picture, and we've moved into the 2021 era of PowerPoint linked to Zoom. So we're going to see how this works out. So bear with us if something goes wrong. It's what in the world. So I don't have a picture for all of them. We're going to try this one here. So this comes from France. The French army has built a couple of new forts, but instead of using modern technology, they are building them using a medieval form of fort building in Mali, which is in Africa. So they built star-shaped moats around the fort, and then the fort itself is shaped like a pentagon rather than a square or a circle. And that's supposed to allow forces to defend from more than 4 directions or multiple directions.
Okay.
We're going to see if I have a picture of one. What did I said I need to share the screen. Okay, let's try that and click on it and see what happens. So that's what it looks like. Okay.
Wow.
How about that? So you can see it's in the shape of a pentagram. Those little arrows at each point are where they put cannons and tanks and stuff to shoot at the enemy.
Interesting.
The thing that caught my eye, that outer rim, that one looks like a road, but there's a rim around it that's a moat. I'm thinking, I need to look, or someone needs to look at this picture again, because a moat around a fort sounds like it's a set for a Monty Python movie, not, not a fort. That's which might be a good movie. I don't know. So I naturally, it got me thinking about moats, as all these stories do. So, moats date back. I didn't realize this. They also date back to the ancient Egyptians, back in the 3000 BCE. They used them to keep the enemy out, but not their Egyptian rowers. They filled them with water, and they could keep the Egyptian enemy out, but not the Egyptian leader, because he was a fair rower. Get that? Fair rower. I need a sign to hold. Bad joke of the year. First bad joke of the year.
Well, it's out of the way now.
I'm out of, I got it out of my system, John. There you go. So they became popular in medieval Europe during the Monty Python era to keep the guys out with battering rams. So you dug a moat and you filled it with water, so the battering ram guys couldn't get close enough to knock your door down. And they also used to tunnel underneath the walls, so the moat would keep them from tunneling underneath the wall. The big thing that everybody asks about moats is, well, what about the crocodiles? Didn't somebody keep crocodiles in their moat to eat the enemies trying to swim across the moat? And believe it or not, there's no evidence of crocodiles being in moats. And there's a variety of reasons. One is they had to change the water all the time. And like if you had an aquarium or a fish bowl, after a day or two, if it's not being aerated, it gets pretty smelly. And same thing would happen with the moat. So, and it would be even worse if there were crocodiles in it. Also, if humans can crawl in, the crocodiles can crawl out. So how could you keep a boat filled with crocodiles? So what they found is in studying moats is that empty moats work just as well as moats filled with water. Basically, once the enemy got down, the walls were too steep and they couldn't climb out again, and you just shot your arrows down at them. But believe it or not, although they didn't use crocodiles, some kings used other animals. So there's this castle in the Czech Republic, Krumlov Castle. They found that the king, one of the old kings in the 1600s, built a bear moat. That's BEAR moat. And he kept bears in it, roaming around to scare off the enemy. And if they fell in, the bears, I guess, would eat them. Believe it or not, they've continued this practice to this day. And if you go to Krumlov Castle in the Czech Republic, you will see at least one bear in the moat surrounding the castle. Now it's just for show, I guess. It's not to keep shoplifters out of the souvenir shop or whatever. And then in Bavaria, which would be Germany, King Wilhelm V, the Prince Regent of Bavaria at that time in the late 16th century, kept both lions and a leopard in the moat of Trosnitz Castle, while he lived there.
Wow.
So, yeah, same kind of deal.
Yeah.
Except he didn't carry the tradition on to this day. So, all right, so we're going to try something here. I'm going to see if I can take this picture down and still keep. But
regarding moats, I got to tell you something, okay?
Oh, yes.
The Cincinnati train station doesn't have a moat, but way down in the lower bottom of it, okay, they used to have lions down there because of all the rodents that were in the train station.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, now that's an interesting bit of trivia there.
I had a flower shop there, and you could hear the lions roaring.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So that recently.
Yeah.
No kidding. That's wild. You can dig like a water trench around a plant or something, and it'll keep insects out. The insects that don't dig underneath, they'll fall into the water and drown. But that's pretty interesting. So I'm going to see if I can get us back. Oh, look at that. Wow, we all came back, apparently.
How do you like that?
Now we'll see if we can change the picture. Not for this story here. So if you're if you have a moat at your house, if you want to keep people away, and you don't have water, you can use giant Huntsman spiders from Australia. These things are a foot in diameter. I've talked about them. They're the largest spider in the world. And they have them in Madagascar as well. And if the size doesn't scare you, the scientists have been watching them. And it turns out that these giant spiders will pick up a leaf, a couple of leaves, giant leaves, and then they'll squirt out some silk. And then somehow they sew the edge of the leaf until it's a pocket, like a pita sandwich. And then they hide inside of it. They cram themselves inside of it, and they wait. And they wait for frogs. And the frogs, it's sunny in Madagascar, and there's not much shade. So the frog sees this thing, this little container, and says, "Oh, it's nice and shady in there." And they crawl in, and there is the spider sitting in the back waiting for him. And the spider eats the giant frog. The giant spider eats the giant frog. Isn't that's amazing?
It is amazing.
How did they figure that out? It's like so they're like little traps for they're a trap, they're a dining room, for frog legs. It's amazing. So if you're living in Madagascar, where all these spiders are all over the place, and you happen to go out on your patio one morning, and there's a giant green umbrella over your table, you may want to run, because that may not be a free umbrella. Maybe a Huntsman.
Spider leaves.
I have to spell it out for you. Okay, so we're going to try doing a new picture here. So, John, have you ever heard of the Black-Footed Ferret?
I have not heard of the Black-Footed Ferret.
Not a band name.
No, I have not.
The Black-Footed Ferret is the only ferret native to North America. And we were almost zero on total Black-Footed ferrets, but apparently they found 18 of them a few years ago and caught them and preserved them. So now there's a little small population of them in Colorado, I believe. So they're so valuable. They have been administered the COVID-19 coronavirus vaccine because they're cousins of the minks. And they figured, excuse me, if they can immunize the Black-Footed ferret and it works, then they'll immunize the minks. So, I was telling this story to some people and they said, well, wait a minute. They're giving ferrets the coronavirus vaccine before they're giving it to humans. And I said, well, you have to consider something here. And I'm going to show you a picture of one. Let's see if I can get back here to share screen. And see, they're wearing masks.
Oh,
so, they're already wearing masks. So, there's not that many people wearing masks around here. Give them a break and let the poor little ferrets that are already an endangered species have the coronavirus vaccine.
Are those ferrets related to each other? I'm just asking a question. They look like they could be brothers or sisters, right? Yeah.
Very similar. I didn't look at the caption on the picture other than ferret. Good picture for what in the world. And that was all I needed to see. So, they are cute. So let's see. I don't want to. They're much cuter than us. I'm going to get rid of them here. There we go. All right. We came back again. Look at it. Oh, this is great. This is great. So now we were talking about psychics. There's a famous psychic. His name is Uri Geller. He's been around for quite a while. We may have even talked about him on the show. So this story is about psychics, and it's about the coronavirus vaccine. Turns out Uri Geller lives in Israel now. He goes and he gets the coronavirus vaccine. And there's a video of him getting it. And he is famous. John, you know what he's famous for? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
He's famous for bending spoons with his mind.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Bending spoons with his mind. So as he's getting the shot in this arm, he's holding a spoon in this arm, and the spoon magically bends over. So the doctor sees this, and out of habit, the doctor gets a tongue depressor and puts a splint on it and brings it, bends it back so it's okay. Wait, there's a lag time today, isn't there?
The new year.
So this guy's been around forever, and everybody says, "Oh, you know, it's a trick. It's not." He's subjected himself to test, and he doesn't do very well on the test. He originally became famous. He was on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and I don't know if you remember this, but Johnny Carson was a very good magician. He really was a borderline professional magician. In fact, he would do tricks on the show occasionally. So he tricked Uri Geller. He invites him on the show just to be a guest, and then brings out a bunch of spoons, his own spoons, and tried and convinces Geller to try bending the spoons. And of course, he couldn't do it. So Geller's upset. You know, this is it. My career's over. This is in 1973. My career's over as a psychic, as a spoon bender. You know, I got to quit the silverware business. The next day, this thing airs around the country. The next day, he gets a call from Merv Griffin, and Merv Griffin invites him onto his show. He goes on to Merv Griffin's show with his spoons and his keys and all the other metal crap that he bends, and does his regular show, and becomes this world famous spoon bending psychic that magicians hate. Oh, they hate him with a passion because he's a magician. He's not a psychic. We know. So I know. Yeah. I had the video. You know, now that we figured out how to show pictures.
Oh yeah, we can show video too.
Next thing we're gonna do is videos. Or maybe not. We'll see. Okay, one more pandemic story. So this is for you, John. So if you're worried about germs, this company in South Korea, LG, has unveiled a voice-controlled refrigerator that opens upon command, so you don't have to touch the handle. Now, that sounds like something you would enjoy, John.
I would be interested in that. Sure, it makes it easy. It's like one step in the process is eliminated.
Well, okay. Now here's another step it eliminates. It not only does it open when you say open sesame or open whatever you want to say, the door is dark, but then you say light up, and the light comes on inside the refrigerator, and you see that it's a glass, and you can see everything that's in the refrigerator. So, you know, you see the beer or the ham sandwich or whatever it is that you wanted to eat. You say open up, and I mean, all this needs now is someone to get the sandwich for you and chew it up for you and spit it into your mouth. I mean, to me, this thing is so sophisticated. I'm not sure. Do you buy it or do you marry it? That's my question, because it does an awful lot of things that a lot of women, I think, would say, what, $3,000? But a lot cheaper than a wedding, right? Karen? It's late now, but
I'll have to let you know about that.
So I don't know if seeing the food that's in the refrigerator before you open the door make it easier or harder to diet.
Oh, much harder.
Oh, much harder. Yeah, I would agree. I would say much harder. Sure.
Much harder. It makes it harder to diet because you see that the stuff is in there and you want it.
Right.
Whereas if you walk past an old-fashioned refrigerator, the door's closed, you don't care. Okay, I agree with that. All right. Well, another thing that makes it harder to diet is candy. So this story comes from Australia. There's a museum down there. The National Library of Australia is going through the papers of this famous poet. Banjo Patterson is his name. He was a poet around 1900. And while going through his papers, they open the box, and inside of it is a rusted tin of uneaten Cadbury chocolate bars, still wrapped in the original foil and dated 1900, which makes them 120 years old, which makes that the oldest uneaten chocolate bars ever discovered.
Wow.
Which, if you think about it, uneaten chocolate is an oxymoron, because I've never seen chocolate last more than a few days.
Not in this house.
No,
Yes.
not in any house, not in any house. So let's see if I could bring that picture up here. Oh, wait, what I need to do is, here, oh, No, no. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. So here's now we go over here and we go over here. And there we have it. Picture of the Cadbury chocolate bars.
Wow.
Doesn't that look tasty? I don't know what the
No.
straw is in there for. But yeah, so that's what they found. Now, it was made by Cadbury. So Cadbury's been around for a long time. The Cadbury Brothers originally is what it was called back then. And it turns out the Cadbury Brothers made this candy to give to soldiers going off to fight in the Boer War. John, you're a history major. Where was the Boer War fought?
I should know this, but I don't.
In South Africa.
In Bora Bora.
What? No, is Bora Bora in South Africa?
I don't know.
Now you're both getting me confused. The Boer, yeah, Boer, Boer. The Boer was the Dutch side. This was a war fought in South Africa between the British and the Dutch.
Okay.
This is
Whoa.
typical English history.
Yeah.
So the Queen Victoria, wanted to make the soldiers feel better about going to South Africa to fight the Dutch when they could have stayed home and fought the Dutch. So she authorizes the Cadbury Brothers to make this candy. And then, of course, she puts her picture on the front along with the year 1900. So that's how they figured out how old it was.
No.
But first, the Cadbury Brothers were known pacifists. So she had to convince them that it was okay, it was good publicity to make this candy to send to soldiers who were fighting what was probably an unfair war to begin with. And you know what, she's the queen. So what'd she say? Put the candy in the box, or put your head in the other box over here. You know, that's the end of it.
It's good to be queen.
There you go. It is good to be queen. So would you eat 120-year-old candy, Karen?
No.
No. John?
No way.
I know it doesn't look tasty. It doesn't look tasty at all. So like I said, I don't know what the straw was for, but I do see the foil. There's little pieces of foil in between the bars. Not quite a Kit Kat or a Hershey bar, but I'll bet they were tasty in 1900. Especially if
has anyone attempted to taste it? Any of those
bars? No, they all refused to taste it. That's smart people down there in Australia. So
sure.
But not in Pakistan, which is where we're going next.
Okay.
So, I have another picture for this one. So police in Pakistan on New Year's Eve arrested a man riding through Peshawar, big city in Pakistan, on a motorcycle while dressed as a werewolf. And this guy had a really good outfit. Let's get back over here and let's see what this outfit looks like. So here he is. Now that's a pretty darn good looking werewolf, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah. So here's this guy. He's midnight. It's 1 minute to midnight, and he's riding through town, and the cops are chasing him. And you know, just at the stroke of midnight, they realized he was not a werewolf, because at the stroke of midnight, he turned into a gas station and filled up his tank. That's a visual joke.
Yeah. Didn't get it, but that's okay.
Segues. Yeah, you have to think about that one. It's or it's a bad joke, one or the other. I'm not sure which, but I just love that picture. Look at that guy. He could have been a little bigger. You know, that werewolves are typically bigger than the cops that catch them.
Why is the one guy wearing a mask and the other one's not?
Because it's Pakistan, Karen.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe werewolves are not carriers like ferrets and minks are.
Oh.
As we learned about in our previous story. I don't know. But let's move away from the werewolf, and we'll go to England for the next story. So this one comes from Sir Paul McCartney. So Sir Paul McCartney says that he talks to his fellow Beatle, the late George Harrison, who was also a knight. He talks to him every day via the evergreen tree that is planted near his home in East Sussex. because it was given to him by George when George was still alive, and it was just a little tiny plant. And now it's grown into this huge tree, and he speaks to it every day. And as proof, they talked to the squirrels that live in that tree, and they said, yeah, he comes every day. We don't know his name, but we just call him the cute nut because, Paul is, he's a little nutty for talking to a tree, and he's cute. And the reason why I like that punchline, even though I didn't get a laugh here, is that Paul McCartney is known as which beetle?
The cute one.
The cute beetle. That's right. That's right. He just did an interview on Sirius with Howard Stern right before the end of the year. And Howard Stern asked him about that. And Sir Paul, I'm not going to do a British accent. He says he absolutely hated being called the cute beetle. I think we lost John for good here.
Yeah.
So he said he hated being called the cute beetle. Do you remember what the other Beatles descriptions were, Karen?
No, not really. No.
The George was the quiet beetle, John was the witty beetle, and Ringo was the drummer. So he had the crappy. Ringo got the crappy end of the stick, so to speak, the drumstick all the time. But Paul McCartney said he used to tell people, "Don't call me that, don't call me that," and then eventually, I guess he learned to love it because as he said to Howard Stern, well, it does fit. So he's Paul McCartney. He can say whatever he wants.
He can.
Yeah. So while we're on the subject of squirrels, in New York, in Queens, by the way, wildlife officials have been investigating stories from a certain neighborhood where the people are complaining that the squirrels have become vampires. Not only have they turned aggressive, they actually have been running up people's legs, going all the way up to their throats, and biting them. Yeah. I didn't want to show you a picture because I know how much you hate this kind of stuff. But there were pictures of a person who had wrestled with the squirrel on her neck, trying to pull it off. And it bit her neck, it bit her hand. There's blood all over the place. And in typical government fashion, the wildlife officials say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. They put up traps. They didn't go into traps. Well, that's the way it goes. We did it. That's the best we can do. I'm telling you, and this was one of the last stories of 2020. So if that's true, if they really are vampire squirrel, 2020 sets the record for the worst year ever. There's John. I think he's back. He looks like he may be back. All right. Well, let's talk about the monolith because this is a Texas story here, and we've got a couple of regular fans from Texas. So the last mysterious monolith, and we talked about the mysterious monolith a number of times. Right. I wrote a number of stories for Mysterious Universe about it. The last monolith of 2020 appeared in the Heights neighborhood of Houston, Texas, where I used to live. And I'm going to see, there it is. Okay, let's see if I can bring a picture of it up here somewhere. I apologize for talking my way through here, but there we go. There's the monolith. So
wow.
Heights is a pretty nice neighborhood. This doesn't look like one of the classier neighborhoods of the Heights. So this monolith shows up one morning, right, first of the year, January 1st. It's at the corner of 11th and Beverly Street for our Texas friends, Houston friends that are living down there. And it immediately picked up that ribbon, a yellow ribbon. It also picked up a framed picture of a Hindu god, which I think is on the grass underneath it, and a sticker that read "weird."
Yeah.
Without saying.
Yeah.
So local people, no, this is Houston, okay? They were very disappointed because this was not your typical monolith that you see in other countries or in other cities. For one thing, although it looks like it's metal, it's actually cardboard and foil. Now they smoothed out the wrinkles, but it's cardboard and foil. And the other thing is that it's 10 feet tall. Well, the monoliths are all 10 feet tall. And this is Texas. Everything's supposed to be bigger in Texas. This was not bigger. So they figure if it did come from aliens, it's obviously not Texas aliens because they would have known that you make a bigger monolith.
Absolutely.
For Texas. So anyway, let's see what I don't want to run out of time here. We've got a couple of pictures for John's story with that I'll let him introduce. So let me see if I can get back here to us. There we go.
Oh, very good. Very good. Very good.
I asked John to find us. This is winter, okay, and we in Cleveland are all rooting for the Cleveland Browns, who won this weekend, which got them into the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Won against Pittsburgh. They're going to be playing Pittsburgh again next week in Pittsburgh. So there's going to be cold weather there. There was cold weather in Cleveland. I have one little bit of information I just got just as we got on to, we're about to go on the air. The head coach of Cleveland was just diagnosed with COVID-19.
Yeah.
So his replacement is the special teams coach. So the guy who coaches the punters and the kickers and the people that run back the punters, the punts and the kicks, will be the head coach. Now I have a connection of multiple Kevin Bacon kind of connection. His name is Mike Prefer, and his father, Chuck Prefer, was a teacher at Padua in high school when I went to school there. He was the head baseball coach, very good baseball coach. After I moved on to college, he became the head football coach. And during that tenure, he won the state championship, the only state football championship Padua ever won. He then went on to coach for the Bears and was a longtime special team coach for the Bears. So his son grew up in Parma, ended up moving to Chicago, and now he's coach for the Browns. So anyway, so John, I asked John to come up with a weird winter sport for us, and I know he found a weird one because I've got the pictures to prove it.
Thanks,
so
Paul.
Go ahead, John.
All right, sure. So our for the first show of the year, our weird sport is barrel jumping. Barrel jumping.
Barrel jumping.
I thought that was only in cartoons.
No, that's it, Karen. I've got some information. It may change your thinking.
Okay.
Oh, it may.
So anyway,
may.
So, yes, I used the word may. But there is a pure backyard-bred gauntlet throwing sport that many people of our generation were convinced that was once part of the Olympic Winter Games.
Yeah.
But in reality, the sport was never part of the games. But given the arcane deadbeat events of the recent Olympics, it should have been. The sport I'm talking about is barrel jumping. And a film clip of barrel jumping was long featured on the trailer to ABC's Wide World of Sports. In it, the jumper skates up to a row of barrels at high speed, leaps forward like a broad jumping track star, unfortunately hits the last barrel with his tailbone and shatters his pelvis in the process as he lands in a heap.
If you can't imagine that, here's one of those goofy guys trying that.
Right.
This is one of the oldest pictures of barrel jumping. So continue, John.
I will. So, and on the trailer, the announcer proclaims the agony of defeat in describing the horrible crash. That iconic image was presented prior to every broadcast of each show of Wide World of Sports.
Hence, we thought it was an Olympic sport.
Yes, but it never was, and never got to that status. You may be interested in the origin of barrel jumping.
Yes,
yeah, long jumping on ice skates was an informal sport in 19th century Holland. It grew out of obstacle races in which speed skaters jumped fences, walls, and man-made barriers. Then during the 1920s and 1930s, wooden barrels were often placed to mark the boundaries of the courses. And then eventually the sport was formalized and the skater would circle the ice rink a few times. He would pick up speed at about 30 miles an hour, and then he would try to leap a batch of fiberglass barrels laid side by side on the ice.
Here's a guy. This goofy guy is jumping over stacked barrels.
Wow.
Yes.
Like the obstacles that you referred to, John. That looks too insane for me.
Oh, they try to improve it with doing the barrels, and that's what happened. So the American speed skater, Edmund Larney, He set the first known record in a jump of 27 feet 8 inches at Saranac Lake, New York in 1925. And that distance remained a record for more than a quarter of a century. Lanny, in carrying out that jump, he cleared a total of 14 barrels.
14 barrels in a row. Yeah.
Right, 14 in a row. Right.
That's a long jump.
Yes. Then in 1951, Olympic speed skater Irving Jaffe made his mark by organizing the first recognized barrel jumping tournament at Grossinger's Country Club in the Catskill Mountains. And Jaffe won 2 gold medals at the 1932 Winter Olympics in the 5,000 and 10,000 meter races. Not a barrel jumping race.
Not barrel jumping, right.
In those. And during the Depression, he unfortunately had to sell his gold medals for a sum total of $3,500. Jaffe also appeared in a full-page ad for Camel cigarettes in 1934, entitled "It Takes Healthy Nerves for Jaffe to be the World Champion Skater. Steady smokers turn to Camels."
Unbelievable.
How about that?
Those were the days. Yeah.
Back in the day.
Said it's okay. Wow, that's unbelievable.
Oh, he froze again.
John got frozen there. Let's see if he comes back in a minute here. We'll do the Jeopardy. There he is.
Hey, okay, sorry. So in regards to records, Terrence Brown set a new record by jumping 15 barrels, 28 feet 3 inches at the Second World Championships at Grossinger's in 1952. And the current record of 18 barrels, which is 29 feet 5 inches, was set by Yvonne Yolin of Canada on January 25th, 1981. The woman's record was set by Marie Hosi Hule, who jumped 11 barrels, 22 feet 5 inches on March 1, 1987.
So equally smaller women can ruin their spines.
Oh, yes. So
29.5 feet, 30 feet, that's a long way to jump.
Well, and you're doing it with skates on, right? I mean, you're obviously, so think of all the energy you have to expend to be able to be successful in jumping these barrels.
Yeah.
So final note on the Olympics. So Gilles Leclerc, who was the president of the Canadian Jumping Federation, he tried for 25 years to get the sport included into the Olympics. In 1992, the Canadian Barrel Jumping Federation sent the jumper to the Lillehammer Winter Sports Festival in Norway, but the demonstration by the jumper was canceled because of injury fears. They were afraid he was going to hurt himself, so they wouldn't allow him to do the jump.
They wouldn't let him even demonstrate it.
Well, right. A spokesman for the sport claimed it is a brutal sport. Nobody makes it. Everybody falls on their backside. So
just these. Yeah.
Right. And so finally, Leclerc, which, he is, again, a Canadian champ, he disagreed with his view of the sport. And he says barrel jumping is not dangerous because expert jumpers wear padded bodysuits and know the proper techniques how to land and avoid injury. Well, okay. That's what he's claimed. But even so, he has now recently acknowledged the notion of barrel jumping in the Olympic Games is dead.
Oh, no, it's not. I have a modification.
Do you really?
I have a modification that's going to get it into the next Olympic. If they can have breakdancing, which we talked about last week, if they can have breakdancing in the Summer Olympics, they can have barrel jumping with my modification for the Winter Olympics.
Okay.
So here's my modification. Let's take a look at this.
Oh,
barrel jumping through rings of fire.
I love it.
Do we know who that guy is?
No, is that the no, I don't know who it is.
Okay. You? No, I have no idea. I wasn't trying to be funny.
Carl Lewis. Remember? I don't know who it is.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
No, he's it could have been that guy that you said that did the that actually started the sport. And Karen, I noticed you nodding. Have you been to that Catskills resort where
No, but that's where, all the Jewish people used to go. The Catskills.
Well, they must have. Big Jewish sport, barrel jumping, apparently.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get that guy off the screen there. Well, John, great sport to kick off 2021 with barrel jump.
jumping. Wow.
Not an Olympic sport. I was disappointed when I heard that.
Yeah, and I am disappointed in being able to report that also. I mean, I was hoping it could have been.
Yeah, really, especially since, as you pointed out, we were all addicted to wide world of sports when we were kids, and that was the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat scene between that one and the guy falling off the ski jump. Those would.
Oh yes, yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, and ski jumping's in the Olympics, so you would think crappy barrel jumping should be in the Olympics too.
You never know; they could add it again.
We're going to lobby for it now that we've talked about it on What in the World. I'm sure the Olympic Committee will be hearing about this tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If not sooner.
Here's another Olympic sport that we should be lobbying for, and that's Bluff the Co-host.
Oh yes.
Time for the first Bluff the Co-host of 2021. We should have some fanfare music. Now that we've learned how to do pictures, that's the other thing we need to do. We're going to edit that out, right? Okay, we'll take that as our fanfare music for now, Karen, because you're the owner. Owner and the producer, so we'll go with it. All right, so every week we play Bluff the Co-host. The rules are simple. I read 3 stories. They may be true, they may be bluffs, very similar to the ones I've been telling all afternoon. It's up to Karen and John to decide whether it's a real story or a bluff. That's it. You can play at home. If you're watching us online, you can play with the other people that are playing online. Let's get right to it with story number 1. A Nevada man was arrested on the face of George Washington on Mount Rushmore after he climbed up there in the dark to win a bet with his buddies. Showing that beer is stronger in Texas, Nevada. The former teacher told park rangers that his buddies bet he wouldn't climb the face of the first president in the dark. But then, because his buddies were also former teachers, they added a twist. He was carrying a can of black spray paint in a large white sheet. To win the bet that his buddies made, the former teachers, he had to dot the I's on George Washington, then drape the sheet under his chin like a t-shirt, and you guessed it, cross the T. The man was fined $2,000, never got to do either one of those, and banned not only from Mount Rushmore, but also from ever teaching in South Dakota. So the Nevada man, to win a bet, tries to dot the I's of George Washington on Mount Rushmore and cross the T on that t-shirt. Is that the first crazy fool of 2021? Karen, what do you think?
Well, I could see a young person doing that.
Okay.
But
Your son.
You're talking about a teacher who probably is older. I'm going to say it's fake.
So you say it's a bluff.
Yep.
John, what do you think? I know John would never try anything like this.
Well, yes. No, I'm gonna say it's true.
John says it's true.
Say it's true. Yes, I'm gonna say it's a true story.
Could be the potential Olympic sport.
Could be.
Rushmore climbing, if the Native Americans allowed it. Anyway, I saw you had your buzzer up there, Karen. Were you planning to?
Yeah, but it doesn't
sound if you got the answer right.
But I think the battery is dead. It's not so easy.
Like all of us after New Year's Eve.
Yeah, the battery's dead.
Well, pretend like you're pressing it because you got it right, Karen. That was
that was.
There you go, Karen. Very good.
There you go. All right, so we've got 1-0 here. John, get ready. I think you'll do better with this one. Fans of H.G. Wells, the famous author of The War of the Worlds and The Invisible Man, are upset with the British Royal Mint about a new 2-pound coin commemorating the 75th anniversary of Wells's death because the coin contains numerous errors in its depictions of the novels. For one thing, the coin shows the Invisible Man wearing a top hat, while Wells put him in a much less formal, wide-brimmed hat. However, the worst mistake is the depiction of the giant walking machines from Mars. The coin shows the destructive machine with 4 legs, a machine that H.G. Wells named the Martian tripod. See the error? Boris Johnson doesn't want to tell everyone to change it with a Sharpie, so the coin is now a collector's item, and stores have been warned not to believe anyone who tries to convince them that three of the coins are actually worth 4. So we've got a commemorative coin for H.G. Wells with a picture of the Martian tripod having 4 legs instead of 3. John, what do you think? Real or bluff?
I'm going to say it's real.
John says it's real. You a fan of H.G. Wells?
Not particularly, but
No?
it's an interesting. Yeah, he wrote that. War of Worlds is an interesting story.
Good story. Yeah. So is Invisible Man. How about you, Karen?
It's a bluff.
You say that he did wear a top hat, and you're saying that
I don't know.
the Royal Mint could never make a mistake like that.
Never.
No. All right, John, you got it tied 1-1. That was a real story. They actually did make on a 2-pound. I mean, that's a $2 plus coin. That's
Wow.
an expensive mistake to make. So a lot of people are blushing about that one.
I would say, people make all kind of mistakes, and mentors are just people.
You're right.
Tripod. It's called the tripod.
Yeah, I know.
That's right. Exactly.
How many people checked that off without
Thinking of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So tied 1-1. Points are doubled on round 3. Get ready to go. Story number 3. A makeup salesperson in Florida says her 2020 came to a typical 2020 ending. In other words, a disaster. She left her 3 children with a babysitter and went to a socially distanced New Year's Eve party after instructing the babysitter to let the kids do whatever they want as long as they're quiet. So, while the babysitter watched TV, the kids quietly snuck into their mom's office and used all of her makeup, nail polish, skincare creams, hair colorings, and anything else they could find to paint a mural on all 4 walls of her bedroom, depicting their mom's life story. It started out well. The kids are naturally artistic, but things went downhill when they ran out of lipstick and nail polish and could no longer draw lines to stay inside of. The last wall depicting 2020 was as messy as the divorce mom went through during that year. Needless to say, mom came home, the babysitter didn't get paid, the kids were grounded for 2021, and mom didn't even have any cream to hide the new wrinkles the whole thing gave her.
Oh.
Crazy kids using mom's makeup supply, and she's a salesperson, so this was hundreds of dollars worth of makeup to decorate her walls in what they thought would be a nice tribute. What do you think, Karen? I know you would never your son would never do something like that.
No, never. And you can't tell me they were quietly doing this. There's no way. I mean,
No?
It's just too much stuff and too many walls and too many things. So I'm going to go with bluff. And
You're going to go with bluff. Okay, all right.
If I lose, I'm going to cry.
You're going to cry.
Yeah.
You're not going to eat anything.
Cry.
I'll eat my microphone cover. Okay, so Karen says it's a bluff. John, what do you think?
I'm going to say it's true.
John says it's true.
Whoa.
John can imagine kids using their mom's makeup to draw murals on the walls.
I don't know if murals might be a generous term or generous word.
I know. I thought about that.
They're drawing something up there. I'm going to say it's true.
John says it's true. Well, guess what? The first bluff the co-host of 2021 goes to Karen. That
Yay!
was a bluff.
I
That
don't
was-
have to cry.
The prize is you don't have to cry. Yeah, that's right. It's in the mail.
Oh,
And John, I'm sorry that I hate to say this is nothing new, John, but this is kind of a continuation of 2020.
no, he
We're-
won last week.
He did win. Oh, that's right. You did win last week.
I
still.
did, I know.
So
But
John-
overall, Karen is far ahead. So I have a lot of work to do in 2021.
well, it's going to be a better year, John. It's going to be a better year all around. It's going to be
There
a
you
better
go.
year
There
for
you
you
go.
and Bluff, the co-host. Better year for the country. Better year for our health. Better year for What in the World, because we're looking forward to coming back every week during 2021. With some great weird stories as always. Weird news always. What is it? Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. I thought maybe I changed the slogan for the year, but I didn't. So yeah, we'll be back next week with
Wow.
plenty more strange stories. Come here, have some fun, escape from reality for an hour. Not that we're not reality, except for Bluff, the co-host.
And they can see real pictures now.
And we have pictures. That's right. Who knows? We might have videos. We might have music. We might have dancing. We might have a completely different podcast by next week.
Ooh, yeah, dancing.
No dancing. No, not yet.
Okay.
No.
Well,
Anyway,
everybody,
so thank you, Karen, for all that you do at newclevelandradio.net. Tune in, go to the website, check out all of her podcasts. Whether you listen to them live, whether you go to YouTube, whatever it is, thank you for doing that. And please come back next week and go visit them regularly. Look at her other podcast. John, thank you as always for the great sports, the great trivia, the great
Absolutely.
color commentary.
Sure.
We'll
Well,
see
thanks,
you-
Paul. As always, it's a lot of. As always, every show is a lot of fun. So thanks a lot.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah. Well, you're a big part of that. And Karen,
we'll see you all next week.
we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Bye-bye.